going to show you guys how to do a front brake job on a 2014 Hyundai Sonata. It's a pain in the butt until you know a trick. I wasted a couple of hours baking out in the sun, thinking the caliper won't compress to put the brake pads, the new brake pads on the other side when I just did it. And I just found out a little trick. You could use actually two C-clamps to get it to go in. If you use one, it goes in a little bit cockeyed at an angle, and you can't get a cylinder in the tube, which is the brake piston, when it's cocking at an angle. So what a pain in the butt. But using two C-clamps, you could figure it out. So second here so I get this in the stand. There we go. So first step is get some gloves on here so I don't get too dirty. I already took the bolts off. All right, so what do we need here? Where's my socket set? We're going to need a 14 millimeter in the back, and I'm going to turn the steering wheel so that it faces out to me so I got a little more room. Hold on. So there's another little tip to doing these brake jobs too. To make the piston easier to go in when putting on the new calipers, it's also a good idea to open up the reserve reservoir. Let me show you. Take this off of here. And so on the driver's side, over here in the back, you can see I took the cap off. It goes right here. You just twist it off, and then it won't be under pressure, and the calipers can go back in real easy. Just don't forget to put this back on. This is why I have the hood open, and I'm leaving the hood open, so I remember that. Okay, don't drive off with it like that. All right, so obviously these rotors have seen better days, you know, but I touched it with my finger, with my bare finger, and it looks worse than it is. The sensor just started scraping. Oops, sorry. The sensor just started scraping on the caliper, so it looks like it's all scraped up, but it's really not that bad. It's really just started to eat into that groove a little bit. The other side wasn't affected at all. It's nice and smooth on the other side. So, but it's not glazed. There's not a glaze on it. If there's a glaze on there, I'd say try to you turn down these rotors. But these days they just replace them anyway. I usually take just a whizzer tool and you know, a scratch pad, and you're able to rough up the brakes a bit. You know, but let's see. This is not too bad. I'm willing to chance it and just replace the pads on here. So I'm putting ceramic pads. They're going to be harder than this anyway, so they should smoothen this out again. But I'll do that. If I have any problems, I'll replace the rotors then. I'm not going to bother with it right now. The other side was fine. So let's just get into this. All right. So basically, you need 14 millimeter to remove two bolts. One here, it's a short bolt. And one down here. You see where this the rubber is. Okay, see where this rubber is? That's where the bolts are. Okay, now there's two more bolts back here, but you don't touch those. Okay, you don't touch these bolts that are back here. You just touch these ones on the ends, and then the center part comes out. You just lay it on top, and then we'll pull out the pads and replace them. I'll show you now. You may notice it's a little bit of an angle now. Well, that's because I just went in the car and I turned the steering wheel to the opposite direction of the side that you're working on. So this way it's exposed to you a little bit more and easier to work on the brakes. Little pro tip there. All right. I used to be a mechanic. Got out of that industry a long time ago. Didn't want to do this for a living. I just wanted to do it for fun. All right. So basically, we're just gonna loosen up these bolts in the back. Here, let me go a little bit wider screen so that you can see it, or get a little closer than the other. You can see what I'm doing here. Let's get there. Let it righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. There we go. Then it didn't take too much to break that loose. You do the same thing on the other one down the bottom. All right, there we go. Broke that one loose. And then you could probably take it out with your hand afterwards. There you go. The bolts are nice and clean. Threads don't look bad. It's good to have a little bolt catcher like that for your parts so they don't go rolling away underneath you. Nice and magnetic. Cheap Harbor Freight's got them. Why not have them? Make your life easier. That's why I'm sitting in a regular fold-out picnic chair now too as I'm doing this. Yeah, I know. There's other mechanics chairs that you could have for it on wheels, but this one's pretty comfy actually. All right, so it's just the 2 bolts on there to take this off. All right, and I could see the brake pads in here. They got, it looks like they got a little meat on them still, but they were uneven wear here, so that could be a couple things. Is that the piston? A problem with the piston? Is it uneven wear? We'll find out in just a moment. I don't think there's a problem with the piston, so we'll just work this back and forth a little bit. It's not bad to have a little mallet, a rubber mallet, to hit this if it's too tight in there. And it comes right out like that. Boom. Okay, without the brake pads on there. And then you could twist it over. And as you guys can see, that piston is way out. We have to push that piston back into its hole here. All right, you're not going to push that in with your fingers. All right, you're going to need a C-clamp to do that. Now, normally there's brake tools to do that, and I have one that'll go on here and push that in. But one thing that's not too normal about these calipers is if you look at it, this little arch that's there does not let you get to the center of the hole. So you're off. If you guys can see this, you'd be up a little bit high. So then when you're pushing this in, it's cocking the top in at an angle, and then you can't get this cylinder into the tube unless it's cocking, you know, and it's going to bind up on itself. So there's a little trick to this. You actually have to use 2 C-clamps to get it in. All right, so that's it. Neat little trick. I just found it. Just found out about it. Let's see. So, well, let me back this out a little bit. Just did the other side. This is a handy. This is a handy one. You got a little button here that you can just press on this one and pulls it out or pushes it in. Saves you a little time. Versus the old ones, the old school ones like this, that you just got to screw it in. So anyway, let's push that one into place. And I'm going to start tightening it up. Back up a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Gotta manage this camera while I'm trying to show you here. There we go. So I'm just going to tighten this up a little bit, and it's already bound up. It can't go in. Just like now, if you get one going the other way at the same time on the other side of this brake piston, it's going to start going in real easy. Did you see that? Look at that. It's already going in. It's already going in real easy. So put my glove back on. I have to dismiss a phone call we're getting. I'm filming this. So there we go. That's tightened as much as it can. Now this one is loose, so I'm going to tighten this one up a little bit as much as I can. Now it's cocked at an angle too much. So now turn this one a little bit. Sure. I'll readjust it here. There we go. This one's loose. Whoops, I lost you there. I hit the phone with my shoulder. I got it in crack it or anything. Anyway, so dangers of YouTube and sharing knowledge. Okay. You gotta put a little muscle in these things though. There we go, got that on. This one's loose again. So let me tighten that up. You really want to make sure you're getting it on the other side of that piston now, so that you're going in straight. So I just repositioned it a little bit. Okay. This one's loose again. So let's reposition this one. This one's on the other side. And so tighten that up. There we go. You see how that loosens up so much? The other C-clamp fell out. Now we gotta put this in there. Tighten that up. Tighten this one up a little bit, side to side, little by little. Pain in the ass. C-clamps keep coming off, but that's alright. It's better than trying to play with it for a couple hours and not figuring out why it's not going back in. Oh, it's all the way back in now. We're good. Don't clamp too hard on that. Release this. And as you can see, that piston's all the way back in again. It was way out. Now we can put on our new brake pads. But first, we got to take off the old ones. So, just rest those pistons right there, or calipers. And you put this in front of me, and you can see as I work. Try to work with a camera in my face though. So now these will come off. I have to use a screwdriver in between there, work it out a little bit like that, and then they should be able to slide out. There we go. And they come out just like that. And as you can see, these suckers were worn down, and this is where you got that. This is why you have that tread over there, this wear pattern there. You can see it got worn down all the way to the metal. That was metal to metal. So this person was driving with no more brake pad on there. Sliver down the bottom, no more up top. That's now garbage. Now one thing I want you to keep in mind too, look at the type of brake pad. So this is the outside one, okay? There's nothing attached to it. This is important to know. You got to see stuff as you're taking it apart. Because if we look at the new replacement brake pads we have, there's one that's like this and it has this little tongue on it. That one in the back is going to have that. And you want to make sure that it's on the same side, because one has it on this side, one has it on that side. So you want to make sure you're putting the right brake pad on the right side. Okay, so this is not the pad we need for the front. This is the pad we need for the front. Okay, you see it's just like the other one. Nothing on there. Sticking up. We got a lot of meat on there now. These we're replacing some semi-metallic stock pads with these Duralast ceramic. This is like the premium Excalibur super duper, what do they call it, Duralast Elite brake pads. Alright, so you got this little honeycomb pattern on there, patented honeycomb pattern, so that it doesn't wear as quickly, I guess. I don't know. Either way, ceramic, harder than this. so it should wear this back down a little bit. And these pads should last probably a long time, but when they come up for replacement, we're probably going to have to replace these rotors as well by then. So I keep touching them. Got a little grease in my fingers here already, so I'm going to have to clean that off with a little bit of brake clean. Make sure you have some brake cleaner handy. You know, spray it on there. Don't be cheap with it. Don't make a mess all over there either, but and I'm going to put that back in the box for a second because I'm going to show you. It's pretty good to have a steel brush too, and I'm going to wipe down the outer part of this rotor. Okay. So I'm just going to wipe off any loose rust on that, and I'm going to do that all the way around. Okay. It's a very stiff bristle brush. You don't got to rub it too hard or too fast or too much. It's very rough. You can see there's, I don't know if you can see, but there's a lot of rust falling to the ground right here. You know, as I'm rubbing on this. See all the little black pieces going on my concrete ground here. All right. Just want to share that with you a little bit. Now these front wheel drives, when it's in gear, you're gonna have a hell of a time trying to turn it. You're not gonna be able to, so I'm just gonna leave that there and rub off as much of this as I can. The loose stuff, look at that. Parts of the other brake pad falling off. So I haven't taken the other brake pad off yet. But I could. Not keeping it there for any special reason. Work on prying it out. There we go. Jiggle it a little bit and it'll come free. And the other side wasn't too bad. There was still a little bit of meat still on the brake pad. Not much, but you can see there's a little bit of meat right here. The other one was all the way down to the metal. This one had a little bit left all the way around. So the other side of this rotor's fine. And oh, you don't see that piece sticking out, but that's because it looks like it broke off. I wonder if it broke off here in the driveway. I'll take a look, but there's a piece that hangs out there much farther. The other side still had it on. Anyway, there's that. And those old brake pads, I guess they're the stock ones still on this car. It's 2022 and it's coming up for its first brake job. Not bad. It has very low mileage. I got this car for my mother as a lease. Some old lady died and returned it, and it had like 2,000 miles on it. So I got the car for a steal about 3 years ago. All right, so here, that's a piece of the old brake pad. We're not going to need that. Let me just continue cleaning this. I'm just a little OCD, don't mind me. Okay, so we got that done. We'll do the same thing here now to all the parts of this caliper. I'm gonna rub down this caliper too. Any place where it meets metal anywhere in here. But there's also these little clips that I'm going to show you how to take these out. They should just pop off. Sometimes they come off on their own. You got to replace them with the new ones that come with it. Okay, so I'm just going to rub that, get loose any. Don't breathe this shit in, by the way. I think I got a fan going over here to the side. Yes, I'm outside with a fan, I know. But it's freaking hot today, and that fan is helping. Work smarter, not harder. Now you gotta be careful, you don't want to puncture this rubber dust pad for the piston here. Just try and clean a little bit of rust off that piston. And then they usually include in these kits a little bit of brake lube. Yes, you heard me right. I said brake lube. Yeah, why would you want lubrication on your brakes? Well, you'd want it on the contact parts where the pads are sliding. See, these pads, I know this is the back one, I'm putting it in the wrong spot, but these pads, they ride in these grooves right here, so you can see. And so basically you would just put a little bit of lube right there at the contact points, so they slide in there nice and easy. You don't want to overdo it because you don't want to get any grease on the brake, because grease is does away with friction, and brakes work by the principle of friction. So we're going to want that to, we're going to just clean off these rotors now. Yeah, look at that. Clean up any phosphorus, any salt from road grime, other crap. Good thing these studs look good. Okay, there we go. Now let me pop these out. Normally these come off really easy. There we go. See that? And it looks like that. And the brake pads on both sides ride in this little groove here. So we're going to replace them with other ones. So just remember how that went out. So on the bottom, there's a U channel. That's where the brake pads are going to ride in. And the top, it's in the other, facing the other direction. Okay, they're going to straddle them. So the new ones will look like this, nice and shiny. All right, so I'm just going to rub this really quick with some with the wire brush, and then I'm going to just snap that into place. And then we put the new brake pads on, put it back together, button it up, and we're all done. See, this one I just took off with my fingers. Got our pile of garbage now in the ground beneath us. Okay. Make sure it's going to be easy to put back the new one in the groove there. Okay, and that should be good. I'll just give it another spray down. On the other side too. Just make sure you don't spray yourself in the face. You don't want this crap in your eyes or your mouth. And puts all that nastiness in the ground. But it feels like it's going to rain, so I'm not going to bother with it. Otherwise, I'd put down a little speedy dry or put something down there to soak that up so it don't stain my concrete. All right. So now the way to put it back together, just do everything in reverse order. All right. So what's the first thing we got to do? We got it all cleaned up. Got these grooves cleaned out. We're going to take these retainer clips or these slider clips or whatever the hell you want to call them, the clips, and they're going to go, this groove goes into this groove. And just like that, pops into place. You want to make sure it's going into place when you snap it and get in. Got to get in there on the back side too. And then there's a little notch here for that too. You want to make sure it straddles that. Don't bend any pieces. You could actually bend this to straddle here. So if you want stays into place like that. Come on. Let's make sure you got it in place first. Then you can bend those edges so they stay into place. Alright, next one goes up here. And you see how that slides right into place? See that groove? You can see it fits right into place. Boom. So boom, and then I pull it out. Okay, snaps in. There's these little tabs that you could bend on there. That's what I was doing before. Those little tabs. Let me see if I could zoom in a little bit for you. Okay. So you see there's a tab here. There's a tab here that bends that way. It's not a big deal if you've got them bent in or not. But if it's not staying in place, that'll help it stay in place for you. You know, I put it in. It clicked into place there. It's fine. You don't really got to bend these tabs over or in the back unless you want to. But I'm gonna leave that be. Let's back this out a little bit and put the brakes together. For now, put my gloves back on. Remember this one. This one goes on the back side. So I got this old one. Still got it. I got a couple of these anti-squeals. Although they gave you some in the package that was black. Just gonna mix it up a little bit. You don't need much of this stuff, okay? So I'm wiping the majority of it off. I don't want to make a mess. It gets all over. You don't want to get that on your brake pads either. So where am I putting this? I'm just going to put a little bit on the edge where it's going to ride both sides of that edge too. A little bit there. Now, and that's just going to go right in here. It's going to ride in that little place, and that's all you need. Okay. So let me also show you something else with this. Okay. Now the rotor's round. You see, there's a curve to this. This curve, make sure you don't put it on upside down. It has to go following the curve so it has more of a contact patch. Alright, so I got this the lube here on the edges, so I'm going to just spray the pad. Make sure I didn't get anything on there. And I'm going to try to put this into place in the back first. Get it so that you can see. Try to get it to fit into those grooves there. But there's grooves on the top and the bottom. So I'll try to do this with the camera in my face again. So I'm going to get the bottom one in the groove. I'm just going to push it down into place. My other finger, I'm going to hold up this metal piece and try to slide it, finagle it into the groove. Nope, that don't work. Try pushing the top up first. And then do the bottom. Whatever works to get it slid into place there. There we go. Now it's into place. Boom. And you see that the pad is even with the rotor. Do a little brake clean on that. Make sure we didn't get any lube on that pad. Would even pull it out a little bit if you want. Okay. Now do the outer pad. Do the same thing. Give me the grease off of that. Just on the edge, lightly. Snap that into place, get that around the frame, push that up, And want that to fit in there. Sometimes you gotta play with it a little bit. Let's try the top one first. Okay, got that in. Now the bottom one slid right in. So put the bottom one in, top one won't go, but it got the metal in the right place. So then I pull it out the bottom and push the top one in and slide the bottom, and then it went right in. Then make sure we don't got any grease on the pad here. And we're almost done. Now we have to pull that caliper and put that caliper back on. The caliper is what squeezes the brake pads into the rotor when you hit the brake pedal. So now I just take this, put that in place because you compressed that piston already. It should go back into place, not too hard. If this place where the bolt is, you can push this in with your finger. Sometimes that'll block you from being able to put it in place, and there you go. So that's on. Now we just got to line up the holes. Put that bolt in. Top one's in. Thread it in a few threads. Bottom one. Boom, 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 boom. Just finger tight all the way in. Somebody's blowing off fireworks now. It's not the 4th of July. So righty tighty, lefty loosey. Okay, we're tighty. So let's make sure your hand don't slip all of this, and don't put too much pressure. You don't want to snap that bolt. Okay. Just make it snug. Okay, we're snug. And now the brake job is done. All we gotta do is put the tire back on, and that's it. Not too bad. Hope you guys got something out of this. Hope I helped out with that problem, because it was a mother. I was trying to figure out how to get that piston compressed, and it just was not going in no matter what I was trying. But that little trick with the two C-clamps made it real easy to go in. And I do have a brake pad tool that will push it in, but it just wasn't working because it was going in at that angle. So because of the design, the flawed design of the people who made these damn calipers. But anyway, that's it. Hope you enjoyed. Actually, I lied. I'm not done yet. We have something else to do before we tire. What do we have? Well, actually, we can put on the tire first. That doesn't matter. We got to take this thing out for a test ride. And before we take it out for a test ride, this sucker back on. Goes in, just a quarter turn, and that's it. So that's sealed now, and now we can close the hood on that car and put the tire on. Yes, I was working outside with a wind machine on me. And a chair. Alright, so I'm going to button that up, pump up the brakes a couple times before I put it in gear. That's very important. You want to make sure you got your brakes are working before you put it in gear. And then, especially if you bled the brakes at all, but we didn't open up the brake lines. And then we're going to take it out for a test drive. But that is it. That is all she wrote.